Wednesday night and it's absolutely stonking temperature. Are you hot?
No, not at all. Just a couple more layers.
I've got a slight sweat on. Paul's got a sweat on.
Yeah,
Look at the sweat on in that.
I think a couple more layers underneath will be alright.
It's not really, it's a bucket of water over the top of their head. That's cold, eh?
That's nice.
That's cold.
It's not though.
Oh, there's a bit of tide running. What's the plan, Richard?
The plan is to go south of Amphrey and jump in the water and go and enjoy yourselves. Pick up a few bowls, a few scallops, on cannonball, you know, whatever you want. Yeah, don't wind in too much if you want to go to Shipwrecks.
Oh, lovely.
Okay. In the meanwhile, I'll be out here sunning myself.
Bit of tide, Matt. It's so good when you're scalloping.
If the
So here we go again, back down to the depths. See if we can get ourselves some scallops. This is going to be a very quick scallop dive before we get to the cement wreck, so it's one of them ones where you just pop down, grab as many as you can, covers the cost of steam all the way out to the cement wreck and do some diving there. 30 meters, I've probably got about 10 minutes I reckon, and the tide is going south. That means the tide is going to be pulling me out into the deep. You can see how bad the tide is by the seaweed that's coming towards me. Already I've been pulled down to 32 meters, but we're starting to see scallops, so I'm quite happy. Along with the scallops we've come across these little critters. This little critter is a red gurnard, and sometimes if you're lucky they'd walk along on their little fingers, which I think is an adapted some sort of fin that's been adapted to have little fingers. See if we can get them to walk. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. See the three little fingers there underneath its head? I don't think it's going to walk today. So let's carry on. Struggling to hold myself back against this tide anyway. Seems to be a nice steady stream of scallops now, which is good. All the scallop shells you see on the surface are discarded shells from divers already. So the law is you go back into the harbour, you land your scallops, you get them potentially sized if you get stuck by sea fisheries, and then you bring the shells back out and throw them in the sea. Here's another one here. This cuttlefish thinks I can't see him. He is very, very well camouflaged, but we can definitely see him. And they're buried down into the tide here, into the sand, sorry, when the tide picks up. See how close we can get to him before he swims off. I think there's so much tide, he's confident that I'm going to slip away before he has to swim away. Seabed around here is pretty much consistent with what you see. We are out near Fermain, a bit deeper than Fermain. Fermain's very silty, but here we've got a mix of some quite fine silt and some shells. Nice. Almost 34 meters already. I'm trying to swim across the slope, swim across the tide. That's my technique. I hardly swim anywhere when I'm on scallop diving, even in tide, but the other two go with the tide and they cover huge distances. Richard always has to come back to pick me up. 34.5 now, and I'm getting deeper and deeper, so I'm going to go back up. Remember, Richard told us not to wind our gauges. Basically that means don't stay down too long. Don't know if you can see that, but there's a squid. Is it that time of year already? Little baby squid coming over to say hello. Probably only about, I don't know, 150 mil long, and then swims back down into the depths. I've seen it swimming up after me.
Well, that was okay-ish for the very short time I was down there. It's dragging me deeper and deeper, so I decided to come up. Don't want to wind the gauge as well, because we're going to do a 32 metre dive next. It's amazing, look, the old slippers on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 keepers for about 7 minutes dive. Not bad. I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not bad.
Proper diver.
Be interesting to see if Matt beat you. How deep did you go? How deep?
37.
Yeah, same as me. I was getting dragged down and down and down. It's getting darker and darker.
It only shines on the right cheek.
It does. I know that. I was going to pick Matt up now, which is just there. Let's go pick him up. He went a different way to us. Some wagon wheels in there, mate.
Yes,
I think the cement wreck's going to be a dark one.
yeah.
I think it's going to be a dark dive.
I think it's going to be shit.
Look at him, professional. He's on a buff with a rope rather than a reel. You see how we got on? Trainee, yeah. Training him up. Let's pick him up. Trainee's done alright.
For my first one.
It's the bag that's lucky. That is a lot, mate. That is a lot. Not quite sure if I should pre-apologise, because I reckon this is going to be dark and horrible. But we never know. We've got to get down there to find out. We missed the shot going in. We got some friends join us. Blue dolphins are going to join us. We all good? I'll see you down there, Matt. I'll see you down there.
always a favourite spot for a conger eel. This is an upside down anti-aircraft gun. This one, I believe, is Scarface, and we refer to her as a she, and she can be a bit of a handful. Very bashful, as you probably know. Conger's eyesight's absolutely rubbish. They go on scent, smell, electrical signal. They can pretty much pick up smells in the water pretty quickly, and they're not like a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. They're very similar, but they will actually carefully take their food, they'll suck their food in rather than lunging at it. So got to find Matt. Matt's got the bag of food, which is some stinky, and I mean stinky, just as well you can't smell it, scallop guts or scallop frills, which are from the morning's dive, so they're not even sort of 6 hours, but in this heat they start to smell. She knows what's coming. Look at her. She knows the food's there. She can smell it. So she's just putting her. Oh.
That was scary.
You can hear Matt telling Paul to pick up the camera. If anyone knows Paul does not touch cameras or do cameras. Mind you, saying that, it'd probably be the best footage Matt gets today. Again, I always say it, you've got to be very careful around these fish. They are wild, they're not tamed in any way, and not many divers really come to this wreck. The ones that do enjoy playing with the congers, but always be wary, and this is a warning, always be wary, they will bite you, and if they do, they're like crocodiles, they spin around in a circle. Well, you can say goodbye to your fingers or your hand. Any fisherman would know that you actually fish for congers. What they tend to do is they suck the food in, and they keep it within their mouth to make sure it's okay. If there is anything hard or attached to it, they tend to spit it out, and you'd feel this when you fish for them. But obviously there's nothing hard in these, and they just swallow it all down. But they still do the same technique. They sock the bait in. Here's a poor cod coming in to steal some. All the fish get a good feed, so you've got to be very careful. You can tell how bad the eyesight is of these fish, and they're spooked very easy as well, so they will go back into the comfort of their own hole, and they don't seem to be affected by the lights, so camera lights don't affect them. There we go, prime example of it sucking the food in rather than lunging for it and biting. I mean, you don't even get to see their teeth. in my own opinion, I'd rather mess around with a larger conger than a smaller conger. The smaller ones seem to be, well, less scared of you in a way. I don't know, they tend to come out and swim around you, rub up against you. But yeah, I prefer the larger ones than the smaller ones. They're a little bit more predictable. Another thing with the congers, it doesn't take much. Once they've had a couple of bits of food, that's it then. They sort of kind of give up and they just don't feed anymore. Maybe it's what we're feeding them on, I'm not sure, but that one had been fed up. So Matt's chucked the rest away for the other fish and then put the bag in his pocket. Let's explore the rest of this shipwreck. As we enter the front hold, cargo here is cement. That's where it got its nickname, the cement wreck. All destined to build German fortifications on the Channel Islands in the 1940s. And here we can see a selection of pelting pork cod and red mullet. You can tell these are juvenile red mullet because they shoal together and they tend to be swimming off the seabed. The adults tend to grow the barbels and remain on the seabed feeding. So I've always had good luck looking over the gunnel here. This is up near the bow. So the gunnel to the starboard side here, I always end up finding red mullet. And there we go. There's a couple more there. 3 more. It's quite random really, because on all shipwrecks, if you ask any divers, there's a bright side to the shipwreck and normally the dark side to the shipwreck. So I'm dropping down onto the seabed now. In my own opinion, on this shipwreck, I know both sides are relatively light, but I like to call this the light side of the shipwreck, where you can stand back and have a look at the bow area. It's all falling apart now. There is loads of stuff to look at in there. We've got 4 minutes to look at stuff. I'm probably going to go into decode today. I've got loads of air, and it's safe to do so. I'm sure that's a bum, but I can't be too sure. You can see here, this has never really been looked at that much. Now the side plates have come off the shipwreck, they tends to be washing this silt out. So this has had 70 plus years filling up with silt. This is below the forecastle, so I'm not quite sure what was meant to be in there because I haven't seen a plan of this vessel. But upstairs would have most certainly been the accommodation block, and there is signs of that. And we're now going to swim down this side of the gunnel. Just check my air, 120, that's half a tank. So we're going to look under all these plates and see what we can find. Here you can actually see the shapes of the cement bags. So these were cement bags in 50 kilo bags, as they used to be when I was a boy. And there's loads of congers and brown edible crab hidden under this. see here, I think these are spare gun barrels. There has actually been loads of spare gun barrels found on this shipwreck, so it doesn't surprise me. Appears I've joined a big shoal of huge Ballon wrasse here. Just see the fins of another diver over the top. Not quite sure who that is. Maybe it's the blue dolphins have finally come down. Yeah, it appears it's the Blue Dolphins. It's a local BZAC club. We've said they can use our shot line. No point having two shots in there. And here's a rebreather diver coming past. Now right out on her stern. She's got a really nice looking stern on her. This is the steering quadrant, so chains or cables would have wrapped around the back of this and it would have been pulled either way by a large wheel, steering wheel, which would have turned the rudder. So before I go back up, I've gained extra minutes because we've come up shallower. I'm going to always poke my head inside this doorway. This is a small pollock, so they start off this golden, lovely goldeny colour when they're young. This heads down into the engine bay with the little pulley crane. This way would have headed down into the kitchen area. I always check these out as well. These are dual anemones. Sometimes they're all in, but today it looks like they're out feeding. So camera never does them justice. So bright, vivid colours when you see them in the with the naked eye. When I first dived this wreck many moons ago now, all these were in. There were floors. You never used to be able to see down inside. There's a larger pollock, singular pollock. And now you can just swim over the top and have a look down into where the kitchen area was. Some sort of brass, maybe a wash hand basin or an old cooking pot of some sort. Oh, got something on my lens then. $90 bar left. Down to 1 minute. I think we're going to have to head up. I've seen enough of the wreck for today. If I could dive this shipwreck every day I would, but I need to collect my strobe and head back up. Pool's still here. Matt's still here, and I need to collect mine. I'm now officially clocked out from this wreck. I would have thought the Bezac divers would put strobes on the line as well. Maybe because it wasn't their shot they didn't. Just tell Paul I'm going. I can tell that's Paul. Matt has orange fins, Paul has grey fins. And now we're heading back up. I know I always say it, but I'm addicted to seeing these bobbles. Like little jellyfish. Talking about jellyfish, there is actually some around here. These crystal jellies. There's loads around in the sea at the moment. I know there's probably 4 different types of these jellies, and they're really hard to identify which one is which. But they're so relaxing to watch. Not a care in the world. They're feeding on all this stuff that's floating in the water, which is plankton. Well, this one isn't feeding anymore. This one looks like it's expired. Paul has had no luck with that strobe whatsoever. Mind you, mine's the same. Although it's really, really beautiful underneath the water, it's exactly the same above the water today. Just what I needed after work, a nice dive. As I was swimming back to the boat, there was loads more jellies, different types. This is a sea comb. It's like a jellyfish, but it's got loads of little lights on it. Check them out. Thanks for coming along on another dive. If you enjoyed this and you think your friends would enjoy it, please share it on your social media, and hopefully they can come and have a dive with us as well. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you on the next tide.